So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear sisters and brothers. Ramadan Kareem, and may Allah accept your Ramadan fast and prayers. Ameen. I will be now sharing my screen with all of you and starting the session. So, today we are honored to have Brother Kanat Zhailaubayev with us. He is our esteemed guest. And the topic of today's lecture is Psychology of Ramadan according to Sai'd Nursi. So we will start our session with Fatiha, Surah Fatiha, and then you can share your questions in the chat. And Brother Kanat will start his lecture. And inshallah, after his lecture, we will request him to do a closing dua, and we will conclude the session. Here are some Zoom etiquettes. We will appreciate if you turn on your camera and you can on the gallery view. Please don't record or take screenshots during the session and keep yourself on mute when not speaking. You can rename yourself, you can add your name and country name, and you can utilize the chat option for your questions. And then for live transcription, please press the more button and request, inshallah. Here's the brief introduction of International Students of Islamic Psychology's mission and mission statement. ISIP is an inclusive space designed to connect people with diverse backgrounds interested in Islamic psychology. ISIP aims to disseminate knowledge, share resources, and discuss best practices in free and accessible manners. And it is a platform to enable further development of people's personal interest, studies, understanding of Islamic psychology within their communities or their countries of origin. So ISIP has provided lots of lectures, and all the lectures and book clubs or halakas, all the recordings are available on our YouTube channel. And you can connect us with Islamic psychology group, ISIP's Islamic psychology group, and then you can become a member of ISIP by visiting our website www.isip.foundation, and you can get access to our digital library. And you can subscribe our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Brother Ghazi and Sister Ayad, they will share the relevant links in the chat, inshallah. If you haven't joined our Islamic psychology resource sharing group, you can please feel free to join. Okay, Brother Kanat Zhailaubayev is a certified chaplain and solution-focused brief therapy counselor. He provides faith-based guidance by teaching Risale-i Nur studies. He focuses on integrating positive psychology with traditional Islamic thought. He is also the head of ISIP Russian-speaking chapter and Al-Balkhi Russian chapter. He is one of the leading members of Rafiq Counseling Russia. So, inshallah, we will now recite Surah Fatiha, and then Brother Kanat will share his screen and start, inshallah. So, Brother Kanat, you can share your screen, and you can stage is all yours now, alhamdulillah.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank the ISIP team, give us such to represent the Ustaz Bidu Zaman to our international colleagues, to our international students. By the way, it was a big tawafuk. Tawafuk is mean a coincidence by taqdir that today is the day of that Sai'd Nursi passed away at 1960. He passed away. So there's a day. So we ask, please, one Fatiha for Sai'd Nursi also, inshallah. Please. Yes, inshallah. The day I asked the Omer Faruk, Abi, brother, to be the coordinator of this lesson, because he in the madrasa, he know better the Sai'd Nursi teachings. So I asked him about, okay, why do we share? Please share us with Ramadan Risale, because he have many books, especially Ramadan books is a very, how to say, very good aspect in psychology in terms of Islamic perspectives. So inshallah, at the beginning, so let's begin our lecture, inshallah. Omer Faruk Abi is ready, inshallah. We can begin. We have two parts. One part will be shortly about who is Sai'd Nursi, because there's maybe many of them us we didn't know who is Sai'd Nursi. Okay, we will inshallah short biography. After that, inshallah, second part is about what is Risale-i Nur tafsir, what is the main majority topics, what's about Risale-i Nur tafsir. Inshallah, after that, we will continue with Ramadan Risale, inshallah. Okay, so please share with us the, inshallah, in English biography. We prepared infographics so to this lecture, inshallah. Umrabi?
Okay, shall I screen share now?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay.
First.
Okay, now for maybe 15 minutes, I will talk about Bediüzzaman and his treatise, his books, Risale-i Nur. He was born in 1877 in the east part of Turkey. He lived in very important eras of world history, actually. He was born at the era of late Ottoman Empire, like he saw the late Ottoman Empire and then early Turkish Republic. And then he experienced World War I, and he fought in World War I, actually. And then after that, the Republic, the early Turkish Republic, and single party rule, and then multi-party period. He was known as Bediüzzaman because like his outstanding knowledge and memorization. For example, he had this photographic memory. Like when he looked at a page, he could understand well and memorize well. Like the people, for example, the book Ibn Hajar, Jam'ul Jawami, people read that for months and months, but he could comprehend the entire book in one day. And even memorization in the book, for example, Jam'ul Jamawi, like about 250 pages, he spending only 1 or 2 hours a day in 1 week, he memorized that book. And then his teacher said in Arabic, قد جمع في حفظه جمع الجوامع جمعه في جمعة, like he memorized the entire book in just 1 week, spending only 1 or 2 hours a day. And not only he was excelled in Islamic studies, Islamic sciences, like even when he was about 14 years old, he defeated all Islamic scholars in that era, like in the east part of Turkey, in debates, defeating all scholars. And not only in Islamic sciences, but also positive sciences, like studying all sciences, positive sciences, like from history, geography, mathematics, geology, physics, chemistry, astronomy, and philosophy. And only on his own, like not from a teacher. As I said, like his outstanding comprehension and memory. In chemistry, for example, he had this inorganic chemistry book, memorizing it, studying it in 5 days, and successfully countering his arguments against a chemistry teacher. And the same with geography as well. So since he mastered positive sciences and Islamic sciences before he was 20 years old, So he was given the title of Bediüzzaman, Wonder of Age. Until 1899, like he was excelling himself like in knowledge, but after 1899, when he heard a speech delivered in British Parliament, the Minister of the Colonies was quoted as saying, this Minister of Colonies in British Parliament, he said, like holding a Quran, he said, we cannot truly rule over Muslims if the Quran remains in their hands. Either we destroy it, the Quran, or we make Muslims abandon it. So when Sai'd Nursi Bediüzzaman, when he heard this, he dedicated, from that time on, he dedicated all his knowledge, all his sacrifice, and everything he had to show and prove to the world that the Quran is an undying and inextinguishable spiritual sun. That's what he dedicated his life, and his books, Risale-i Nur, are dedicated in that too, showing and proving that all Islamic truths, the truths of belief that we believe, they are undying and inextinguishable spiritual sun. And he proved everything rationally. And in 1907, he went to Istanbul. Like, as I said, he was in the east part of Turkey. Then he went to Istanbul. And there, again, like he defeated all scholars, and he showed his knowledge, not for like himself, or not for his arrogance, but to show that in the east part of Turkey too, there is knowledge, like the knowledgeable people. And he said he had a sign on his door in Istanbul that said, here, every problem shall be solved, every question shall be answered, but no questions will be asked. He did it to give a rise to awareness among the scholars of Istanbul about his project, reviving the madrasa learning system. I will talk about the madrasa to Zahra, his project now. He realized early in his life that in the east part of Turkey, and maybe in Islamic countries altogether, he realized that, you know, people study religious sciences, but not too much modern sciences like mathematics, physics, chemistry, geology, like this. So he decided to open a university, showing that, claiming that the religious sciences are the light of the conscious. When we study religious sciences, Islamic sciences, it's the light of the conscious that's necessary. But modern sciences also, when we study the universe, the physics, biology, chemistry, mathematics, they are the light of the mind. When you combine both those lights, the truth will emerge. If you do not combine, like if you only study religious sciences, that will end up in bigotry. And if you only study positive sciences, that will end up in skepticism. And he claims that all the sciences that we study at university, again, like from biology, chemistry, whatever we study, they talk about Allah in their own particular tongue, a particular language. And in his books, Risale-i Nur, he teaches us that language. Like, for example, if you have a book in Chinese and you don't know Chinese, that means nothing to you. And like that, he claims that everything in the universe speak with a certain language. Like all the trees, animals, atoms, planets, they speak. Even in the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says, "Astaghfirullah, وَلَكِنْ لَا تَفْقَهُونَ تَسْبِيحَهُم." You do not understand their glorification. So Sai'd Nursi is teaching us their language, so we learn how they speak, the language of the universe. Sai'd Nursi teaches us that language in his books, Risale-i Nur. And now about Madrasatul Zahra University. Now in Turkey, alhamdulillah, there are thousands of madrasa like this. We have university students staying in madrasa, yani Bediüzzaman, Risale-i Nur madrasa. There are like thousands of them. They both study at university, and when they come to madrasa, they study Islamic sciences. So they combine both, and they become beneficial members of the society. And now a little bit about his bravery. So he's not only known by his knowledge and comprehension and memory, but also his bravery. And he says that one who attains true belief, faith, he may challenge the whole universe. Like sometimes, we are scared. We are scared to stand against an enemy or anything. We are scared. But when you have true belief, you may challenge the whole universe. And he, as I said, he fought in World War I, and he wrote his book Isharatul Ijaz, where he proved the miraculousness of Quran. And I will talk about a little anecdote from his captivity. And when he was fighting against the Russians at the time, 1914, and many of his students were killed in the war, and he became prisoner of war. He was captured. And in his captivity, one incident happened about his bravery. When he was a prisoner of war, like imagine you are a prisoner of war by your enemy, like you killed their soldiers and you are now their prisoner, like you would be so scared and you would do anything they tell you to do. But when he was prisoner of war, a commander-in-chief, Nikola Nikolaevich, he was passing by and everyone stood up. But Bediüzzaman did not stand up. He was just standing where he was. And he passed again. The commander asked, like, do you not recognize me? Do you not know me? And Bediüzzaman said, yes, I know you are Nikola Nikolaevich. And you are, and he made sure that he knows him. And the commander said, in that case, you are insulting the Russian army, therefore Russian Tsar. And Bediüzzaman responded, I haven't insulted you. According to my belief, he said, a Muslim scholar is superior from faith point of view to someone who doesn't recognize Allah. So if I stand up for you, that will be an insult to my beliefs. A Muslim scholar is superior to someone who doesn't have belief. So the commander got angry, and then he commanded them to kill him, Bediüzzaman. And then many people started to ask Bediüzzaman to apologize to prevent this disastrous outcome. And then he said, their death sentence is merely a passport for me to travel to eternal world. And then he asked for a prayer, like 2 rakats of prayer before the execution. He said, and then after 2 rakats of prayer, he said he would stand ready to face the bullets. And when the Russian commander saw that, he said, now I have become convinced that your actions stem from your deep devotion to your sacred values, and I ask for your forgiveness. And after he was saved from that, he came to Istanbul, and he was assigned as a member of Darul Hikmatul Islamiyya. That's an Islamic academy in late Ottoman Empire era. In 1922, he was called to a Grand Assembly of Turkey at the time, all the deputies. He was called there, and he gave many sermons there. And then he returned to east part of Turkey. Then here in 1925, early Turkish Republic era starts in 1923, 25. And many scholars were executed and killed and exiled. And Bediüzzaman also, his life of execution, torture, and imprisonment starts. 25 years of imprisonment, torture, and exile starts here. And the writing of Risale-i Nur our topic today starts in 1926. And now this Risale-i Nur is the result of his life and cause of his happiness and duty of his existence. And now the Risale-i Nur proves everything we believe rationally. Sometimes we just believe and we obey because it says in the Quran or in the Hadith, but in Risale-i Nur, like for example, even like today we were talking about how, like for example, hijab is like how he proves rationally, like when women read that Risale on hijab and tesettur, they are convinced that this is natural, like I have to do it because like this is what's gonna make me happy even in this world, like proves rationally and convinces rationally. And especially truths of faith, like we believe in Allah and he proves rationally the existence and oneness of Allah. When you read, you feel in the presence of Allah. You feel like there's no way I'm in his presence. Like you're not faking it, you're really feeling it. Oneness of Allah and next life. More importantly, like for example, if you are having bad life, for example, but you are studying medicine, for example, you are very poor, you are struggling financially, but you are studying medicine and there is 1 year to go, like you will graduate after 1 year, and you know that after graduation you will have a nice job, you will have a good income, so you are patient. And there is no way you are not gonna find any job because you are studying medicine. And like this, he proves the existence of next life like this, like my life now in this world could be bad, like I might have struggled financially, mentally, psychologically, but he proves the existence of afterlife just like the existence of America. He says, like, you know, America exists, the continent of America, it exists, afterlife exists, and I will definitely go there, 100% conviction. And he proves wisdom behind acts of worship. As I said, for example, we pray 5 times a day, and he proves rationally why we should pray. So there is no way you miss any prayer. He proves the wisdom behind the acts of worship in Ramadan too. And unity of Islam, this is also very important. This is also his aim, to unite Muslims around the world. And not only the Muslims around the world, the Muslims in your house too, like in your household, in your workplace, how to unite, how to have strong relationships and healthy relationships. He proves, he talks about this in his books, Risale-i Nur. And purpose of human existence. Also, most importantly, like many books do not talk about this, the manifestations of Allah's beautiful names in creation. Just like, you know, there is sun, and the sun has reflection to earth, like we have the reflections of the sun in the earth. And like this, he proves how the names of Allah, each is like a sun, and they have reflections on us as human beings. We are reflecting most of the names of Allah, and he talks about this elaborately. And connections between humans as a macrocosm and universe as a macrocosm, how we are connected to the entire universe, and how actually each human being is like a mini universe, like a small universe. And also about sincerity, ikhlas, brotherhood, ukhuwa. As I said, like when I say brotherhood, like our relationships. Sometimes like the biggest challenges that we face in this age is relationships, right? I mean, we have problems in our relationships. We get angry and we make people angry. We have relational problems, and he solves those problems. And this is the biggest means of happiness in this world, like healthy relationships. So he facilitates that too in his books, Risale-i Nur. An economy, frugality, contentment, gratitude, shukr. And he talks about youth, how to spend our youth. And is that like when I say how to spend youth, of course, like we know how to spend our youth, like you should worship Allah and you should obey Allah, you should stay away from haram. But he proves rationally. So you're convinced, even your nafs is convinced not like to stay away from haram and to do what is beneficial. So he proves that to the youth. And again, like one of the most important topics is illness. We get ill every now and then. So he talks about illness in his Risale for the sick. He makes you realize how illness is actually a gift from Allah, and you appreciate illness. And even physically, he reduces the physical pain from 10 to 1. So you are relieved both psychologically and physically when you learn the benefits of illness. And also he talks about old age. Again, no one wants to be old, but when you read that Risale, you want to be old. So he talks about how, being old also is a gift of Allah. So a gift to be appreciated, not to be disgusted. So through an eloquent and impactful style, he presents these concepts with Quranic verses and to make them understandable for modern mind. Again, like I talked about Bediüzzaman Sai'd Nursi, but he says, I was like a seed and I rotted, and the seed of Risale-i Nur emerged from me. So he always focuses on Risale-i Nur rather than himself. Okay. So when he started writing his treatise Risale-i Nur, he was imprisoned, and he was also poisoned 21 times. Like when you are poisoned once, and each is aimed to kill him. Like you are poisoned, you're dead. Like this, he was poisoned 21 times, but he was saved by the will of Allah. And for 25 years, he was tortured and left hungry in prisons. And even like, for example, when he was 73 years old, in prison, he was alone in a small cell in prison, in freezing cold, no windows, like broken windows, freezing cold, 73 years old, sick and poisoned. Like he faced such tortures and such pains like we cannot even imagine for his life. For entire his life, he lived for 83 years. But alhamdulillah, his sincerity in spreading the message of Allah, as I said in the beginning of the session, he said he dedicated his life to show how Quran is an, he proved everything in the Quran to the modern people. And the people at the time around him, they helped him by the will of Allah. And in the early part of, early Turkish Republic, he was executed, tortured, and he was prevented like to share his writings of Quranic truths. Even, printing of books was forbidden at the time. You cannot print any Islamic books, especially in these Arabic letters, Ottoman language, Ottoman writings, alphabet. So people around him appreciated Risale-i Nur, and they wrote by hand 600,000 copies of Risale-i Nur. These books were written by hand. People dedicated their life to write them by hand. 600,000 copies were written by hand. People literally, like for example, if they work, they come home and they write. And some people, they don't work, they just write day and night. So like this, 600,000 copies were written by hand. And hundreds of courts, like he faced like many courts in his life. In 1948, also the final court, Afyon court, like he was imprisoned in Afyon for about 2 years. But alhamdulillah, after like 1950, he was received some relief. Like after 1950, it was like the writing of Risale-i Nur turned to printing presses. The students of Risale-i Nur, they started to print Risale-i Nur after 1953. And for about 10 years, like in Turkey too, Turkish government too, they published Risale-i Nur with this like governmental printing office. They started to print Risale-i Nur. And as I said, like this is Risale-i Nur is aligns with the understanding of this era and in harmony with scientific facts. So what we face now, like the atheists and stuff, like they have arguments, like scientific arguments, and now all the things in Risale-i Nur, they are in harmony with scientific facts, and no one can deny. Even like, for example, I heard in Ankara, one of the biggest universities in Ankara, one of the Nur students, he's just a student, he gives a lecture about atoms in the universe to professors about Islam, but the professors are atheists and they're kind of like against Islam. Nuclear energy professors, like they could not say anything to these truths because every Islamic truth that we face and we bring evidences from science, from the universe, they're all in harmony with scientific facts. And it unveils the unseen realities. And as we said in the beginning, today is the day he passed away, March 23rd in 1960, he passed away. And it was Ramadan, like 25th of Ramadan. Maybe Laylatul Qadr, yani Allah Ta'ala took him to his presence in Ramadan, in Layali Ashura. So these are some actually artifacts. Thank you for listening about this. This is only the first part of presentation. Now we will talk about one of his Risale, one of his letters about Ramadan. And if you want to read Risale-i Nur, there are applications on Google Play Store and many applications on the phones and on the internet too in this website.
Yes, thank you very much, dear brother Omer Faruk, for this brilliant lecture. Inshallah, it was, I think, very productive, very informative to us. And I also want to say something about why do we present, why do we tell biography of the Sai'd Nursi? Because to understand the person or some work, the psychologist first of all we shall understand the biography of him. Second, his books and the persons of his age. For these things, we can see the whole perspective, whole the view of his personality. So by telling the biography, inshallah, we will next stage we will mutala, we will discuss one of his books. So inshallah, after the lecture we have a QA session. If you have inshallah question, inshallah, you are welcome. But I want to add that when I studied the chaplain, Muslim chaplain at the Cyprus University at the summer, there was a Turkish Diyanet. Yeah, there's Turkish imams. They teach us the chaplains of the model. And when I asked about chaplain is now beginning in Turkey last 5 years ago. So what do you do before this discipline? And he said, in the prison, in the hospital, we just read the Risale-i Nur. So personally, automatically, by fitra, they read Risale-i Nur, the last center after Ottoman state empire passed away. people seek the his psychological problems in the prison, in the hospital. They many of them. Now I will have a chaplain discipline. We have psychologists, Islamic psychologists, but at this time we shall took this Risale-i Nur as our our pills for the seekers, because it's very huge, a very effective books to use. Unfortunately, some people think maybe it's like tasawwuf, maybe the Sheikh Sai'd Nursi, his students. No, it's a says it's a Jadul Kubra. It's a huge way. It's for whole ummah, because this Quranic haqiqah. There is iman is not changing. Iman is fixed. So by naql facts, Risale-i try to logically interpret the basic of the faith. So it's a more ilmi kalam, aqidah. This Risale-i Nur, by reading Risale-i Nur, they have very empower our iman. So it's our books, it's our whole ummah's books, inshallah. Inshallah, we will. If Miss Tanya have some section, please. We are in the middle. If you have some advertisement or tell something.
Brother Lukman, you can continue. We'll do it at the end.
Okay. And the last thing, and inshallah we will continue. And when I visit the Urfa, the city, then Sai'd Nursi passed away. There is Laylatul Qadr. Everybody is in the street, and everybody inviting to remember the Sai'd Nursi. So this whole city, whole the east of Turkey, especially, everybody knows Sai'd Nursi. He's a great scholar of us. Inshallah, we will inshallah. Shows inshallah we will read inshallah his Ramadan Risala. Okay. So Omer, okay, we continue. Next step.
Okay. Now, as I said in Risale-i Nur, there are many parts. Now we will talk about Ramadan, the benefits and the wisdom of Ramadan from different aspects, but especially from a psychological perspective. There are 9 different points, and we will point out some of them. And in from man's social life point of view, from our personal life and training of our self, and the fundamental needs, as I said again, from psychological perspective, the fundamental need in our life, especially in this age, is like connection, care, love, belonging, and feeling valued, right? This is actually important for our mental health too. Feeling, having this connection, being cared and loved, and feeling of belonging and feeling valued. And in Ramadan, actually, we understand this. And here, again, like Bediüzzaman has a very different style of explaining the topic. He says, God Almighty, Allah Almighty, creates the face of the earth in a form of a table laden with bounties. Imagine you come home and a table laden with bounties, like full of, like, for example, the flowers, food, drinks. And when you enter home like this, like, for example, you visit your mom and you see this table, right? You feel this connection and care. And this face of the earth is like this, a table laden with bounties. And from where he doesn't expect, he says, like you wouldn't expect, the earth to be like this. And if I ask you the difference between moon and earth, in the beginning, they were the same, right? The earth, millions of years ago, it was the same. There was nothing on earth, but Allah created plants and animals, and from where you don't expect, because the moon, there is no life, nothing. But if Allah creates life there right now on the moon, you see plants and, you know, atmosphere and like animals, you would be so amazed. You wouldn't expect that. Actually, we should not expect that from the earth too, but Allah gives that out of His love. And He shows His mercifulness and His compassionateness, just like a mother prepares food for her child. Allah Ta'ala, our Rabb, we have this relation, like we should not forget. We have this, just like I have a relation with my mother, I have a relation with my Rabb. My Rabb cares for me and prepares for me more than my mother. And we are like in Ramadan, we feel that as if like we are having been invited to the pre-eternal monarch's banquets, like a food deal. And Allah Ta'ala says, and we await in Ramadan, like all the Muslims, as if like you are invited to a banquet, a dinner, you are invited to a dinner, then everyone waits the command of fold and help yourselves. Now you can eat, right? As if like Allah Ta'ala, our Rabb, invited us to this dinner, like in this earth, and He allows us to eat. Now you can eat, right? This is so you feel this connection and care and love and belonging and feeling valued by Allah in Ramadan. And in the second point, actually, Luqman, any comments so far? Can I go to the second point? If not, I will start from gratitude point of view. In Ramadan, actually, we have thankfulness. Like this second point is about thankfulness for the bounties. And when you have gratitude, actually, and this gratitude and thankfulness happens by means of recognizing the value of bounties. And in this book, actually, it talks about the value of bounties. When you understand, comprehend the value of the gift that you are given, then you increase in thankfulness and in gratitude. And this, by this way, it actually reduces stress and depression and anxiety, the sickness, like the mental illnesses of this age. When you are grateful, you will have less stress, less depression, and less anxiety, and it will increase the overall life satisfaction and happiness in this world, and also even physical health too. But we should understand the value of this, and it says a price is required for the foods a waiter, for example, brings from a royal kitchen. Royal kitchen. As I said in the first point, we are as if we are invited to a dinner. Allah Ta'ala, our Rabb, has prepared this world just like a table full of food and bounties, and the food comes from royal kitchen. And it says priceless bounties. And you might have heard, like, for example, there are some cakes, for example, wedding cakes. It is maybe $1 million or $500,000 for just for a cake, for a wedding cake, $500,000. Why is it so expensive? Because all the professional chefs, they prepare the cake one by one for maybe 20 days, 30 days, like they put and they decorate the cake to a royal kitchen, right? This is so valuable. And actually everything that Allah Ta'ala, our Rabb, gives, He prepares it like this. Even like the simplest thing that we eat, rice, right? We have rice, like we eat rice, and each grain of rice is prepared by Allah. Each atom is placed to the rice. And scientifically, they say like 100 billion atoms are placed in that rice, in those vegetables, each second. Imagine each second atoms are placed, 100 billion atoms are placed perfectly and with balance. So think about the value of the things that we are given. But we are so spoiled maybe that we do not understand the value of the gifts that we are given. But I'm saying it for us to really feel, like in this lesson, we should feel the care that we are given. Sometimes a mother loves the child so much, but the child, maybe because of young age, like maybe 1 year old, he doesn't appreciate. And if I ask you, for example, a 6 months old child, a baby, can he feel the love of his mother? 6 months old child might not appreciate, right? Mother loves the child so much and cares for the child, but the child is not aware. And like this, our Rabb, our Creator, cares for us like this, and He feeds us with the most precious gifts. And let us feel that love and care that we are given. And another point I want to say again, like to understand the gift of our Creator, sometimes we feel like we earn money and we buy stuff and fill our fridge with food. So this is our food, right? It's my house, my fridge, my food, and my water. That's how we feel. And there are two concepts in fiqh, in jurisprudence. There are two kinds of haram. Haram li aynihi, haram li ghayrihi. For example, alcohol is haram all the time. Like there is no way, like alcohol, like you cannot drink alcohol. It's haram li aynihi. But an apple, for example, can be haram because it belongs to someone else. So it's haram to you, right? So you cannot go to someone else's house and open the fridge and eat that apple. It's haram, like you cannot do that. And like this, the message is given here in Ramadan. I am in my house. I cannot go to the fridge, I cannot go to the kitchen and open the fridge, eat. Why? Because those bounties, those gifts do not belong to me. I am not free to eat them. I have water in my room here. I cannot drink it. Why? It is haram. Like now it's Ramadan. It's haram because it doesn't belong to me. It does not belong to me. It belongs to someone else and are his gifts. Who does it belong to? And when you understand, like, for example, that it's his gift and he's the creator of the universe and he belongs to someone who holds the universe in his hands, like in his power, and he loves me more than my mother, it belongs to him, right? So the value increases. If you think about water, for example, it's just water. But for example, in Surah Al-Insan, Allah Ta'ala says, وَسَقَاهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ شَرَابًا طَهُورًا. So Allah Ta'ala gives them water, right? Makes them drink the water. And for example, in the Day of Judgment, like you might have heard, people will drink from the hands of our Prophet, Muhammad ﷺ. And that water, imagine how valuable that water is. And now like this, the water in my house, I cannot drink it because it belongs to Allah. So He gave it to me. Well, it's His. When you understand that, the value of the bounties increase. So the gratitude and the thankfulness you feel increases 1,000-fold actually in Ramadan. So when you increase in thankfulness and gratitude, again, it reduces stress, depression, anxiety, and it increases our happiness and overall life satisfaction and physical health too. And the third point is that, again, like from thankfulness point of view, it shifts our view from what I lack to what I have. Most of the time we look at people like who are above us, financial wise, maybe health wise. But in Ramadan, from man's social life, we are obliged to help the poor, right? So actually you change your perspective to what I don't have to what I have, so what I can give to society. So this also improves our thankfulness and gratitude, overall gratitude. And here it says, whoever a person is, there will always be someone poorer than himself in some respect, and he is enjoined to be compassionate towards such a person. And again, this the fifth point. I'm skipping some parts because of the limited time. Due to our ghafla, heedlessness, we forget ourselves, our essence, and we cannot see our other powerlessness and want and deficiency, and we do not wish to see them, our powerlessness and want. And we, most of the time, we do not think how weak our body is and how we are subject to transients and to disasters and to the fact that we are just consist of flesh and bones and quickly decay and fall apart. I mean, we are actually, we should die like every second, but Allah protects us from dying. And we are subject to decay and fall apart all the time. And feeling this, simply we assault the world as though we possess a body of steel, made of steel. And we imagine ourselves to be undying and eternal. And in this way, we forget our Creator who sustains us with perfect compassion. Like imagine, sometimes we feel restrained when we feel about Allah. You know, Allah commands us to do this. He tells us to do this, tells us not to do this, and we feel restrained and feel bored or maybe tight, right? But actually, we miss something great. Again, like I'm reminding you of a baby. Let's make the baby like 1 month old baby, and he is cared by the mother, and the mother always takes care of him, and mother has nothing else to do 24/7 with the baby. Imagine if that baby doesn't realize the love of the mother, like maybe when he grows up, like when he 2 years old, 3 years old, if he neglects and rejects the mother, like actually he would miss something, right? I mean, feeling loved is the most important feeling, fundamental need we have in this world. And when you miss that, right, you miss everything. When you miss Allah, you miss everything. So in Ramadan, actually, outside of Ramadan, we feel like we don't need Allah, even though we do. Like, because a baby, a month-old baby, needs the mother all the time. But he feels, since the mother always takes care of him, gives him clothing, feeds him, right, takes care of him, protects him, always around him whenever he needs. So since all the needs are fulfilled, the baby thinks that he doesn't need the mother because he doesn't see it from the mother. And like this, we do not see it from Allah, and we feel like we are enough for ourselves. But in Ramadan, what happens? You understand, you realize how unsound our body is. Like you understand how weak you are, how needy you are, like to kindness and compassion, even like water, food, like how needy you are. And now you find yourself in the hands of Allah. Again, you find your Creator and you are attached to Him, and you feel a sense of belonging. And it is before it is too late, because you will understand it eventually. Even like Firaun, for example, eventually he understood. But one thing, like I will warn myself and you too, again, like from the mother and child point of view, sometimes there are some mothers who take care of the child when they're 1 month old, 1 year old, 2, 5, 10 years old, and they always take care of the child, especially if there's one child. Like in America, for example, I've seen that a lot. the mothers, like they have one child, one son, and they take care of the son all the time, the son, but rejects the mother, neglects the mother, doesn't care about the mother, sees the mother as a burden, and even curses the mothers, uses bad words towards the mothers. But actually, the mothers are the ones who keep them alive. Like, if it wasn't for the mothers, the child would die literally, right, when they're 1 month old. But the baby doesn't realize that. But eventually, what's going to happen? Our emotions are not limitless. Even mothers break. If a son always rejects the mother, there might come a day the mother breaks, and then the mother rejects the child. And at that point, we are assuming that the child will die, right? And like this, we need Allah 24/7 for each atoms in our body, and He takes care of us like a mother. And also, Allah's love might come to an end, like His door of mercy might be closed, right, at the day of judgment, or maybe towards the end of our life. So that's the worst thing that can ever happen to us. So in Ramadan, we strengthen this bond with Allah, realizing our weakness and how needy we are for His compassion and for kindness. This is the biggest treasure.
Excuse me, can you add something? Because Omer, this Ramadan, maybe Omer Faruk energy is limited, so sometimes I will add something, inshallah. At the last of the 5th point, there is a good sentence, 5th point of last sentence of the 5th point, that Ustaz said, kalbin bolmamış ise anlarsın. Yani, if your heart is not broken, you will understand it. So in this case, I understand that our kalb in Ramadan is a very good way to purify our heart, our kalb, because kalb taking the information from eyes, from ears, from everything. So by gives the limitation of this source of energy, source of information, we can protect our qalb. Because if qalb is broken, it's too difficult to understand some haqiqah from Quran, from Iman. So please, we ask from God to protect our qalb from these disasters, inshallah. Okay, inshallah, 6 point, 6 points is about Quran, inshallah. Is whole 6 point is about the Quran, because Ramadan is a time of Quran. We need fulfill our time, our energy by the Quran, because the best tazkiyah is the Quran. Reading Quran, understanding Quran, tafakkur Quran, talking Quran, reading Quran, muqabala Quran. So inshallah, hold the text, 6 point about the Quran, because Ramadan was revealed, Quran was revealed in the time of Quran, in time of Ramadan. Do you have anything for 6 point?
Yeah, again, like from psychological point of view, the thing that we need the most to have someone there to talk to us. And again, from the mother and child example, the kid, her child example, the mother, is it possible that mother takes care of the child, feeds him, clothes him, protects him, but doesn't talk to him? It's not possible, right? The mother will always talk to the child. So the creator of the universe and my creator, who takes care of me all the time, who looks at me, who takes care of me, always talks to me. And as Brother Lokman said, in Ramadan, here it says, reading Quran as if reading it, and it's a message from listening to Quran from the pre-eternal speaker himself, Mutakallim Azali, from our creator. And not only Quran, but also the interpretation of the Quran is also a way of our Rabb's address, our talk, like his speech. The Quran is 100% his speech, but also the interpretations of the Quran too is a way of his communication. So when we read Quran or an interpretation of the Quran, to the degree we need to feel as if our Rabb is talking to us, and this will give you the biggest satisfaction in life. And I'm like, there are so many things to talk, but since our time is limited, I will point out just some parts. In the 7th point, in Ramadan, we temporarily rise above animality, and quitting the calls of this world, we approach the angelic states and we enter upon the trade of the hereafter. Most of the time, like the animals, when they want to eat, they eat. When they want to drink, they drink. But angels, they don't eat and drink. They worship Allah all the time. And in Ramadan, we attain that level, angelic level, and we enter upon the trade of the hereafter. Trade of the hereafter. Yes.
Mm-hmm. There is one point in the ilm nafs. Insan, human is a very very complexity creation. He has a nibati, how to say, energy, hayvani energy, and angelic energy. So maybe some too. We have very complex. So by this Ramadan, we controlling all this nafs energy by eating and not eating. We in the up of the this energy, inshallah, by angelic statement. So by not eating, we control our anger, and by controlling our anger, we are controlling our aql to aql salim, inshallah.
Yeah, actually, in the last part, I want to talk about that point in the 8th point.
Mm-hmm.
Self-discipline, and it's about our personal life, how it enhances our personal life. Ramadan is a healing, like physical and spiritual diet. In other times, like if a human being eats and drinks just as he pleases, it is both harmful for our physical life, but also for our psychological and spiritual life too. If a person does always what he wants, it is difficult for him to obey the heart and spirit and the mind. And it's difficult for self-discipline too. Even now, what I see in America too, like there are many atheists, they implement this intermittent fasting in their lives to improve self-discipline. And it's all about this, like in this life, we came here to this world to discipline our life, to discipline ourselves, right? This is the purpose of our being in this world, to fight against nafs and shaitan. And this Ramadan fasting is the best thing we can do to fight our nafs. This Ramadan fasting teaches us restraints. It helps us restrain ourselves, and it strengthens our willpower, and it gives us ability to delay gratification. And as you said, it helps us control our anger too. And then in this way, we learn to listen to commands. And here I will read this part. Man, therefore, needs hunger and discipline, which train him to be patient and forbearing. So fasting is also a cure for impatience and a lack of endurance, which double man's afflictions. There are some small parts left. He says like the stomach is like a factory, and if it always works, right? You eat, and 2 hours later you eat again, and then 2 hours later you eat again. That the factory of stomach always works, and it confuses the rest of the organs in the human body with the smoke of that spiritual factory's machinery, and making them temporarily forget their exalted duties. And this is both from physical sense and from psychological sense too, from spiritual sense too. Like if we always eat and drink like every hour, every 2 hours, but this is really hurting our physical and spiritual life. But through fasting, the rest of the organs, instead of delighting in lowly amusements of the factory of stomach, we take pleasure in angelic and spiritual amusements. So that's why the believers experience enlightenment, fruitfulness, and spiritual joys, which differ according to their degrees.
Can I additionally say something? There was there were metaphoric Ustaz Sai'd Nursi use very fantastic in metaphoric examples. So he says that our stomach is the biggest. Yeah, he said biggest the biggest fabric in our body is the stomach. Who cannot control the stomach cannot control the qalb. Who cannot control the qalb cannot control the aql, because stomach fabric in the below, and the above the qalb. Above the qalb is aql. So if the dirtiness, if the dirt is if you cannot control your stomach, if your your stomach taking so much energy, yeah, if your whole body working only for the stomach, you have energy to the qalb. Because yeah, in tasawwuf maybe they use a term tazkiyah, yeah, and not riyazat, yeah. So say that riyazat in some Islamic school they use riyazat to control the nerves, but in this example I just want to say that there is three big fabrics: stomach, qalb, aql. The biggest is stomach, but the most important is the qalb, because all the iman, all the things in the below to our qalb. But aql is also as above. Even I read some Qudsi hadith, and God say in the Qudsi hadith, I hid the ilm in the açlık.
Hunger.
In the hunger. I hid the ilm in the hunger. So when people hunger, maybe I think some intellectual, some aql function is working very well, because maybe enough energy, I don't know, but Allah knows best. But in this mutala, I understand that three fabrics, there's many fabrics, but the biggest is stomach, qalb, and aql, because these two stages, two floor in our body. Okay, continue, inshallah.
As you said, you said Allah hides knowledge in hunger, and it also says it is because of this that for centuries those closest to Allah have accustomed themselves to discipline and to eating and drinking a little in order to be perfected, right? To be perfected, eating less and drinking less. So at the end, like they love our other spiritual faculties when like our stomach cries for help, but other faculties, our mind, as you said, our mind, our knowledge, and our even psychology, they love with innocent joy in spite of the stomach's weeping.
Yeah, inshallah.
Again, in the 9th point, it talks about how training our nafs through hunger, it is the best practice, even better than torturing him. Like when you are tortured, or when you're left hungry, like being hungry is better than being tortured, like in terms of training ourselves. So kind of like hunger is the biggest torture. But when you are left hungry for a limited time of a day, you train yourself like nothing else. Inshallah. Jazakallah khairan.
Yeah.
This is the end of Ramadan. It's like there are so many other points, but because of the limited time, I wanted to highlight just certain points.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jazakallah khairan, for brother Omer Faruk for this such informative, such helpful to share with us. Yeah. Yeah, it's Risale-i Nur is a brilliant book. This take from Quran, yeah, aqiqas from Quran, from metaphoric from the Quran. So inshallah, with this beginning, inshallah, maybe Jamaluddin brother ask us to once a month doing such lectures from Risale-i Nur. We have many books that they have psychological aspect. For example, 25 lemma, yeah, about sickness, also for old people. For example, Vasfasa Risale. We have many Risale that brilliant, that Islamic psychologists can use, can read, understand, discuss. So inshallah, I want to thanks that ISIP gives such interest for Sai'd Nursi studies. Inshallah, it will be the beginning. It's the first lecture about Sai'd Nursi in ISIP-International lecture. But in Russian lecture, we already began. But we Turks, Turks of the Central Asia, we love Sai'd Nursi because by Risale-i Nur, reading Risale-i Nur, we understand the Quranic terms. We can understand our Arabic letters. We can improve our iman. So 1 century ago, the Ottomans, Turks, our Turk brothers, forget their language, forget their handwriting. But Risale-i Nur, like a movement, they teach us all the lost knowledge. So we Turks from Central Asia, we also, by reading the Risale-i Nur, we can understand the Quran, understand the Quranic terms, Quranic, the logical Quranic, inductive, many things. By reading Quran, by reading the Risale-i Nur, we can understand better Islam, Iman, Quran, inshallah. So thank you very much for have time to join us. Inshallah, we try our best. Inshallah, if Danya have something to say, you're welcome.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much. Barakallah fikum, Brother Omer, Brother Luqman. Alhamdulillah, I feel really blessed to be able to, and as you said, it's even the death anniversary of Badi'u Zaman, Sai'd Nursi, subhanallah, and to be able to learn from his teachings on such a blessed occasion. We're very, very grateful. You're right. Thank you for introducing. I'll speak on myself. Thank you for introducing Sai'd Nursi's work to the ISIP community, at least the international community. I'm sure the Turkish chapter and other people are familiar. And so we're really grateful for this sharing even of the Risala on Ramadan and looking at those psychological aspects. I really appreciated, Brother Omer, how you were connecting and how Sai'd Nursi, rahimahullah, is connecting those examples to, you know, taking value of and understanding when we don't appreciate the care that is actually being shown to us. So these are such beautiful reminders, and we're very, very grateful. Alhamdulillah wa shukr Allah. We are going to be having some question and answers. So brothers and sisters, please feel free to write your questions in the chat. I will be sharing right now. We have a Launch Good campaign. ISIP has been offering for 4 years. We have people like our esteemed brothers here today, Luqman and Brother Omer, who've been sharing out of their generosity, their time, their expertise. We've been offering our lectures and our workshops and our book clubs all for free for the last 4 years. And so we're very grateful for everybody's support in their du'as and their participation. And this is the first time we're actually also asking for financial donations. It is the last days of Ramadan. We don't want anyone to lose these blessed opportunities to give sadaqah fi sabilillah and to be a part of what ISIP's mission is, as we shared at the beginning. We really want to align our understanding of well-being as connected to the Islamic paradigm. Sai'd Nursi's teachings that we've learned today are a brilliant example of how we need to reconnect and to understand the connections, the psychological benefits of the things that we do in our ibadah that are also bringing about that. So I am going to be sharing right now the link for our Launch Good campaign. If I can ask to share my screen, if you could just stop sharing. Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, I hope everyone has had a chance. I'm going to just share in the chat right now, and we'll pause for about 3 minutes. We won't make it too long, but we do hope that everyone here who is benefiting sees the value of the things that we've been able to do together. And so we're so grateful to everybody and everybody's du'as and everybody's donations, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from everyone. We ask for everyone to keep us in your du'as as well. So let me just pause for a moment and share that link. Okay, Bismillah. We'd love to see some people donating. If you're able to donate right now, that would be wonderful. I'll put again our Launch Good campaign up on the screen so that you can take a look, of course, in more details at the things that we're doing. Hopefully everyone here is aware of the work that ISIP is doing. With regards to India, you can actually go onto our website. Thank you so much, Sister Nasreen, for asking that question. Yeah, we're aware that Launch Good actually doesn't, for anyone who is in India, you can actually donate through our website. We have a donate button there. So I'll just share that on our screen. Any amount that people are able to give, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase it. These could be the days of nights of Laylatul Qadr, so inshallah it's 1,000 times more. And actually, we don't know. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make anything that comes from anybody's heart, put barakah in it, inshallah. So we're very grateful for everybody's donations. Yes, if you are in India, specifically just for India, yeah, you would have to donate, inshallah, through our website where we have the donate button. But for everybody else, inshallah, you're able to donate through the Launch Good campaign and the link here. I'll just share the link one more time. Okay, alhamdulillah wa shukr Allah. So that is our 3 minutes, and inshallah we'll be sending this link again in the message to all who joined us today. So barakallahu fikum, and with that we will continue with our questions and answers. Actually, Brother Luqman and Brother Omer, I can start us off with a question. I think sometimes I really appreciated the psychological benefits and the benefits that Sai'd Nursi is mentioning in that Risala. I'm wondering, however, when we don't see, like perhaps the physical fasting, like is easier than actually, controlling the nafs, like controlling the nafs for some people is easier to control with food, but much more difficult to control with anger or with having patience. I think at the beginning you had mentioned, our relationships are often difficult, and so showing patience, around restraining from food can be easier than those other aspects. And so I'm wondering if Sai'd Nursi addresses those in any type of detail that you've come across or studied.
Faruk, you are first, please.
Yes, actually, he talks about 3 powers in human body: قوة شهوية, قوة غضبية, قوة عقلية. Power of lust, شهوية. قوة غضبية, the power of anger. He says, actually, he mentions in many parts of his Risale, he says, actually, Allah has given those powers to us to direct those things to certain things, but sometimes we misuse that one. And he makes a similar comparison, anger, with a dog, for example. You have a field, a farm, for example, you have a farm to protect, you need a dog, but that dog needs to bark and attack the thieves, right? Or the people, like the harmful animals, maybe. But if that dog of yours, if it attacks your friends, right, you didn't train it well. So he says that our anger should be towards the enemy, or like at unnecessary places. But most of the times we direct it to our friends and to our maybe spouses, our friends around us, and that's not a good way. But he also teaches us from Tawheed point of view how, every action, even human beings, they come to us with the will of Allah, from Qadar point of view. A person, however much he unjustly does something to you, he annoys you, it happens by the will of Allah. Nothing happens without the will of Allah. That person is not aware. That person has willpower too, but at the same time, two things can be true at the same time. So a person annoys you, hurts you, even like tortures you, and he demonstrated that in his life. Those who tortured him for 28 years, he says, I forgive them, because Allah, by means of them, he allowed me to have sincerity and allowed me to have Risale-i Nur in my life, and to saving millions of people's lives and their belief. So the main point here about anger, a person, whatever he does by the will of Allah. And if Allah wills something, there is so much wisdom behind it. So that's why even in Surah Al-Kahf, for example, Musa alayhi salam, when he meets Khidr, for example, he kills a child, right? You would get angry, and Musa alayhi salam gets angry. But there is even wisdom behind even such evil acts, right? We see on the killing of children, and if it has a wisdom behind it, the small things that we face in this life, we should always ask, this is happening by the will of Allah. What could be the wisdom behind it? So what is my lesson? What is my takeaway from this? So instead of getting angry, see the hand of Allah behind it, see the wisdom, and try to learn the lessons behind it. So this is about anger.
Barakallahu fikum. We'll definitely be needing to revise this, and I'm glad it's being recorded. Thank you so much. That's a beautiful, beautiful answer. And I can see, the way that Sai'd Nursi rahimahullah, just in the brief introduction that you provided, like bringing those very real kind of metaphors and examples is a really clear way to get to some of these difficult concepts about how we can change and work on our character. So thank you so much. Alhamdulillah. Brothers and sisters, please, if you have other questions, we are really grateful and blessed and honored that we can still take a little bit of time for questions as well. So if you do have a question that you'd like to ask, please feel free to put that into the chat. I'll continue to ask questions if that's okay. If I do see a question, but I wanted to and I was wondering if I think Brother Luqman or Brother Omer, you mentioned this somewhere near the beginning about if your heart is too broken, like it's difficult to understand the meanings of the Quran. And I'm wondering if you can just expand on that again a little bit more, because I feel like this is a point that sometimes when people are trying to learn the deen, there's a lot of imbalance in themselves, and there's a lot of things that still need healing and that needs to be healed. And so oftentimes, we can be reading these beautiful texts from mashayikhs, but we're not quite able to really understand them or really apply them in a way that's probably was intended. And so I'm wondering a little bit more about this, like how do we prepare our hearts to really be able to understand the teachings of the deen, either from Sai'd Nursi or from other mashayikhs. But yeah, I think if you can just expand on that.
Yeah, let me begin, and inshallah, if Umar Abi have something, inshallah, he will continue. Why is the major difference between Bediüzzaman Sai'd Nursi and other scholars of this age? Because one of the things the Sai'd Nursi said, he says that we shall focus all the energy to ilmi iman. He say iman. Even the tasawwuf sheikhs, the other fiqh sheikhs come say that let's this furur ilm, its next step first iman, because without iman you cannot be psychological, be healthful, not other social problems. So he said about the broken hearts, because ilm iman, when the Sahabas came to the Prophet, they all teach the ilm iman by tafakkur the dunya, because by tafakkur dunya he can see the God's attributions here, he can the God's Allah's sifat, by the creation to the creator, by the creation to the creator. So he's good in the tafakkur the this world hereafter, because you cannot reject this dunya, because this dunya, you're living in the reality of dunya. But by this ilm, if you conduct this world and hereafter by iman, it will be very fast. Very fast increase your iman, or say your spirituality, or your psychological health. So when the prophets began his prophethood, he began with the ilm iman. After 10 years, salat. After 13 years, fasting. So Sai'd Nursi also, by following the prophethood, he began with the iman, because some sahabas in time of Jahiliyyah killed their kids, something very bad. But the iman, they cleaned all these bad things. So iman really, I don't know why why the nowadays scholars not focus in the iman. Maybe some folks, but ilm aqidah, ilm iman, very very core